Good questions to ponder on. Here's something else. You know, the president is not alone. He's got new teams. For those who are football fans across this table, I'm not one of them. The transfer window was opened and they...
Inafunguka tena January. Ilifunguka ikafunguka inafunguka.
Oh, are you telling us something?
Yeah, no, nothing.
About what to expect in government?
I
think she's talking of football.
Mimi naongea football kwa ukweli.
Oh, you're speaking about football.
Ukweli January kuna window inafunguka.
Okay, well, in the spirit of being I wasn't talking about football. But you know, there's a new team and there's new what's the number on the back for those in the they're called attackers, no?
Yeah, 2, 3.
Okay.
Yeah, those could
Strikers.
be that. Yeah. Well, no,
that's
strikers wako
strikers.
number 10 huko 11.
Okay. So let's listen to the new super strikers.
Your knowledge is showing.
Of the Kenya Kwanza administration.
Yeah. Na ukituletea noma hapa ndio headquarter. Wakileta noma, wakileta mbaya, wakileta noma.
Maswali ni mengi, Yvonne. This was, I think, in Taita Taveta?
Yeah, in Voi.
Yes, ilikuwa Taita Taveta, sindio juzi? And they were speaking just before the president did. In fact, a part of me thinks that maybe one of the reasons why the president spoke the way he did and talked about my people and that was because of those who spoke before him, including CS for Mining, Ali Hassan Joho, and then of course Junet Mohammed also was there and he spoke, and they were talking about how watu wanafaa kuwa wanaunga mkono serikali, waache kugonga serikali. In fact, Joho went on a rant about those in on social media who are criticizing the government and said tunawakujia. And we were thinking about how these are the same people who a year ago, even less, were really, really very critical of this government, and they've completely changed tune. In your intro, Yvonne, ulisema wale ambao tulikuwa tumewazoea kumpigia kuwa watetezi wa rais hawapo tena, kuna wengine ambao wamekuja. And I was wondering, all these guys who were speaking, including even CS Mbadi, who spoke somewhere else, CS Wandai also spoke in one of those events, akitetea miradi ya serikali, are in ODM. Wote wako katika uongozi wa chama. Wote wanapasa kuwa wakue katika uongozi wa chama cha upinzani. So, inamaanisha nini sasa? Wako kwa ODM bado kama uongozi wa chama, ama wamehama completely, ama nimechanganyikiwa? Because as we listen to the next bite, Senator of Nairobi, Edwin Sifuna, was speaking and saying, bado ODM tuko katika chama. You know, sisi ni opposition, we've not left. But all the leaders, officials of your party, wako pandule mwingine wanatetea serikali. So what is going on? I think we should listen to the next bite and then continue.
Unaanza kusema they must fall. We will come for you, my friend. Tuko na mdomo kama wewe. Ukileta tunaleta. Ukichoma tunachoma.
Mpinzani sasa tumesema kama yale yalikuwa kwa manifesto yetu yanafanyika, hakuna kitu ya kupinga. Sasa tunangoja kitu ya kupinga.
Tumeamua ya kwamba tunafanya kazi na Mheshimiwa Rais, tunamuunga mkono kwa njia yoyote. Leo, kesho na milele.
Kama hii ndio ile manifesto ambao walikuwa napinga wakati wa campaigns, suddenly imebadilika, imekuwa sawa because of upande mwingine. Wanasema sasa manifesto iko sawa, but it's the same manifesto that ilikuwa inapingwa wakati wa campaign vehemently. I'm sure you have those sound bites somewhere when people are expressing their feelings. These same politicians. I mean, it's utter ridiculous.
Lina.
Look, the change of things is really surprising. Like you said in your introduction, suddenly we don't see Shungwa, we see Junet Mohammed. And this is a script that has played out before. As recently as the handshake of the former President Uhuru Kenyatta and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. It's producing exactly copycat results. Today, President Ruto draws his political energy from the Nyanza region. And I remember in his battles with President Kenyatta, President Uhuru was getting his political energy from Nyanza. And there's a specific spot. I think maybe it has a good feel effect in politics. and that sport is called Kondele. I think we can go to our archives and actually find very similar pictures from the handshake time with Uhuru Kenyatta and now President William Ruto. Because ODM has proved itself like a very effective second fiddle party. You know, they'll come in and energize and displace, apparently. Because if you look at what is happening right now, even in physical terms, when the handshake happened under President Uhuru Kenyatta, there was displacement from parliament to rallies. We are starting to see that happening now. And there's one thing that is not being hidden or disguised very well by the Kenya Kwanza ODM new, what do you call that? Camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
camaraderie.
Yes, they are really hanging out together. And you can start sensing that they want to try a 2027 formula, a next election formula. Because when you hear Joho saying wakifanya nini?
Kama noma, noma.
Kama noma, wakirusha, tunarusha. Nani wakirusha? Who?
We are
because you're already
for
suggesting you are in this team, we are waiting for the other team. There is also, in my view, a sense of desperation to create an opposition that is in a certain shape, certain form and shape, including in terms of regional composition. It also shows. Mm-hmm. And that's why suddenly you want to elevate some voices. And I remember there was a time President Moi was was really desperate to know what the strategy of the opposition was, and he kept saying hawana kiongozi, si watuonyeshe kiongozi wao, because that is what political machines are built for. Build so that you know how to structure your political machine. Who is it fighting? And I think that is where we are right now. There's a lot of testing of waters, testing of things, including what clearly looks like if President Ruto is losing the Mount Kenya base that elected him, then he's looking for a replacement in the Western base, Western Nyanza base and Coast, which is why Wundanyi and Taita Taveta tour was just politics. It felt like a pre-election campaign. It felt like actually we are voting later this month. And there was that desperation to especially create an opponent. And that's what goes on right now. So you build a campaign team, but in the process, try and, as much as possible, and determine the shape of the opponent. Don't allow it to form on its own.
Yeah.
So profile it in a certain way, and then you can see some of the online conversations. They are all trying to shape the supposed opposition to President Ruto in a particular way.
Mm. And you know, you can't help it but think about where have the Kenya Kwanza MPs gone? Because they used to be very vocal. They used to attend most of these events and speak very passionately about the programs of the government. Where have the phase one members of the cabinet or cabinet secretaries gone? Because they would be here talking about exactly the same. And you see, even in that meeting where the president was addressing some of the concerns and questions that are being asked by Kenyans, you didn't see the cabinet secretaries responsible for those particular questions that she was raising. Instead, you saw the few that have come from the ODM party. Then you have to ask yourself, just recently, I think it was last week, I could be wrong on the timing, when the president was in Nyanza attending the Lake Basin meeting that was there. And he was talking about wale wa kabila lazima waende nyumbani and they have no place in the leadership of this country. You'd imagine that he's talking about his former deputy president who last carried that title on the 31st, or the morning of 1st of November, really. A bit late to speak about it, But at the same time, how is this that this is the narrative still carrying the country? So what is going on? What is being manufactured here? Because there clearly is a strategy, which I think we'll have to allow days and weeks and months to see how that becomes. But there's also a concept called manufacturing consent, which is a theory of communication that you find there's a coming together of different forces, both from government to other quarters, which I'll not mention here, that they want to come up with an idea that is planted in the people, and the people need to believe it. It becomes a single source of information that is sold to the people towards a certain agenda. When I look at what the minority party is doing within the government, I am concerned because you have members of parliament, no less than leader of the minority party in the House, that is supposed to be oversighting the executive for the sake of balance of power, but at the same time to ensure that the people's concerns are well taken care of. Remember what you said last week, that members of parliament, including the member of parliament for Suna East, was elected to the House to go and represent the interest of the people of Suna East, but at the same time oversight the executive, which is an organization leading the country, and also legislate. So when you take the podium and say that you have not seen anything to oppose, you're waiting for things to oppose, are you exactly doing your work? Because I remember not long ago, the leader of minority in the National Assembly, Junet Mohammed, stood on the floor of the House. It was in the month of November. And he raised questions about the Social Health Authority, that he said that in as much as the law was passed in the House, there are things that are still not clear. That conversation and others led to the Speaker's Kamukunji that you saw earlier in the week for members of Parliament, both Senate and the National Assembly, to start to understand what exactly is happening. But even as they understand what is happening, is it manufacturing consent that you're witnessing, or is it for the sake of them to have all the questions they have resolved? When you see members of Parliament saying that they are now going to lead the process of enrollment into the Social Health Authority.
Led by the Speaker.
Exactly. How then do you draw the line when it comes to oversighting the entire process? And it's okay. It's good to have people of the constituencies joining the Social Health Authority. But can we separate the roles so that the right people do the right job, so that you also have the independence of thought in oversighting this organization called the executive?
How would you then critique it when you are the same person that was out there pushing for this, when there is something that'll go wrong? In any case, why would the members of National Assembly and Senate be doing work that is meant for the Ministry of Health? Has the Ministry of Health, put up its hands and, surrendered? Yes, and then said, oh, hey, by the way, Parliament, would you come in and help? And you were asking also about where the others are. I mean, I thought in a game of football, you substitute players, right? So you can't have the person that, you asked to leave the pitch plus the person you substituted to be on the pitch at the same time. I don't know much about football, but I know that.
Some on the bench, some are suffering injury.
Some have been given red cards.
Rodri?
Some have, exactly. Some are on yellow cards, some are on...
So they're missing some games.
So, I guess, the others have been...
Some have been traded, Amanda.
Yes, some on loan, others are... What is that thing called? Free transfer? Free transfer, where you don't even have to pay anything.
Others are guilty for doping.
Wow, Sam.
Hey, you can participate. I mean, that is in sports, that is.
Okay. Are we still talking about football?
Yep.
If you say so.
In sports.
Okay. Jamila?
Tunaenda kumalizia. Yvonne, do the honors.
Okay. Maybe at that point I will... Who goes first?
You go first.
Me?
Today. Yes.
I go first.
Kitu.
Okay.